Hello and welcome to another episode of Top Deck, the series where we take a look at some of the more interesting deck lists from the TCG regions. So today we have an updated list from Usman, playing Saryuja Turbo once again. He's been trying this list out for quite a while and experimenting with it. You may have seen it on stream at the YCS London event, where it creates some really insane boards. So we're going to run through the list, get some info about the rounds that he played, and a little bit on the siding strategy, and go through the usual systems. So triple Christia, 1 Lazuli, 1 Bulb, triple Limefire, 1 Damage Juggler, 1 Hat Tricker, and 1 Trick Clown, gives you variety in your searches, 2 Sky Blaster, 1 Cobra, triple Scorpio, triple Venus, triple Thunder Dragon. This is a new addition for the deck. So the mentality with this is you can discard one of them to add another copy or 2 copies, which allows you to go +1 very quickly. You can then special summon one of them with the Saryuja, and since you've activated the Thunder in hand, you can make the Colossus that is now in the extra deck. And that +1 is actually really important for Saryuja digging, because it means that you can add a more important card back to your hand. Then triple Shine Ball, triple Brilliant Fusion, double Call by the Grave, 1 Foolish, 1 Instant Fusion, triple Magical Midbreaker Field. You just got to be able to work your way around all those hand traps, so these 5 cards really help you with that. Then 1 Monster Reborn, 1 1-for-1, 1 Soul Charge, and 1 Imperial Order. In the extra deck, we have Seraphonite, Thousand Eyes Restrict, the Colossus here, Barkion, and Beast. You can actually make these guys really easily with this deck, and that's pretty nice. 1 Firewall, 1 Imduk, Phoenix, Unicorn, 2 Link Spider, and 1 Link Rebo, and then obviously triple Saryuja. For the side deck, the 6 hand traps that are good against the Danger FTK, so Droll and Cherries. Then you have Isolde as a side deck target. This is potentially pretty useful against future Dark Warrior variants like the Rongo Turbo that we've seen. Then 1 Dimensional Fissure, triple Mind Control, triple Twisters, and 1 Mask of Restrict. Now you can play the 1-offs in the side because you can sort of dig to them fairly rapidly. And these are pretty useful for this is good for sticking away from Kaiju, and this is just good for all those grave-oriented decks. So that is it for the list itself. Let's take a look at some of the comments that we have from Usman here then. So we'll start off by going over the rounds actually. So round 1 he went up against Sky Striker and went 2-1. In game 1 he went second, opened Midbreaker, Venus, which is basically Exodia, and then in game 2 he left the opponent on 200 and then tribute summoned Christia. Christia got judgmented, and the opponent gained too much advantage. And in game 3, Usman just won by smashing out the usual goodness. In round 2 versus Thunder Dragon, Usman won the die roll, set up a Nat Beast, Barkion, Firewall, and Christia, so you just win that. Game 2, the opponent has 3 bosses and a Sanctum, and game 3, the opponent doesn't open a hand trap, and Usman ended up with the same board as before. In round 3 against Luke Parks, he went 2-0 versus this BA build. Luke won the die roll, ended with Mermaid Beatrice both times around, but Usman just opened Venus Midbreaker in both games, and you can't really beat that with BA. What are you going to target? You just can't. Round 4 versus Thunder, he went 0-2 here. So the opponent ashed both of the starting plays, and there weren't any extenders there, so a bit unfortunate. Round 5 against Thunder, losing game 1 and then getting deck checked. The opponent gets a game loss, and then Usman won in game 3. Not a very satisfying way to win this, but sometimes it's just how it is. Round 6 against Tom Rose, Usman won the die roll, at which point Typhon called him a bit of a dick, but he only resolved 1 Saryuja, and then summoned Christia Firewall, because that's all you really need to beat BA, 1 bounce, and stopping any special summons seems pretty simple. Game 2, Tom opened extremely well with plays extremely well with resources, but Usman opened double Korbai and Venus, so if he activated the first one on Snow straight away, then he would have been able to play. Then they get deck checked again, and in game 3, and then Usman bricks but manages to come back, puts himself too low on life versus Tom, and that's never really a good idea, and just loses at that point. Round 7 against Tom Viegas, another pro here. playing the FTK. So the opponent won the die roll, and Usman asked if he had a set beginning at the end, because if he did, then he was just going to scoop and went to game 2. So we did. In game 2, then used Christia with Saryuja to play around sphere modes, no more monsters on the board at that point, and just win from there. But in game 3, the unluckiest game that has ever happened to him in his life, the opponent normal summoned Armageddonite, sent Beast, and then got drolled. But then in Usman's hand, he has Scorpio, Christia, Midbreaker, and Shineball, and he's thinking he absolutely has this game. And he draws the turn, and he draws a Lazuli, and you can see there aren't any more Geminites for him to play with at this point, so he just loses. And finally, round 8 versus Rongo Bongo. He won game 1, lost game 2, and won game 3, and that is exactly how it goes against that deck. So, ended 31st, going X3. As for siding, the main side outs would be Thunder Dragon, Order, 1-for-1 going second, just keep the side, just keep the main roughly the same for first, except when he sides in stuff like the Dimensional Fissure, the Restrict. You side out Order for the better Floodgate or the 1-for-1 Restrictors there, because Draco can be a bit of a problem. Beast, Barkion, and Restrict just beats that deck entirely. Fissure is just sort of there for BA and any sort of graveyard oriented stuff. Possible changes to the list could include 1-for-1 coming out for the Garnet, but Usman's always testing different builds, and he needs the deck to be unique, which is why he's going to be carrying on playing this sort of Saryuja Turbo build. As for shoutouts, huge shoutouts to IQ Games in Huddersfield, Matt Harris, Danny Riley, Aiden Ray, Seelan, Kian, Cameron Dooley, Matthew Chen, Avi Mehta, and his newest fanboy, Johnny Cope. Also, congrats to Team TKB for finishing so well, and personally I want to give a shout out to Usman for his tripod. Good job on the tripod for breaking and allowing me to bring you this deck. So congratulations Usman for going X3 at the UK Open, a very tough event, and played very solidly. As always, very awesome list to see from you, and hopefully we'll see more of Saryuja Turbo coming out and smashing those events in the future. Thanks for watching this episode of Top Deck. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to make, leave them in the comment section down below. Check out the description for details of how you can get involved in this series. You can enter by voice interview, or instead you could just send all of your information over Facebook Messenger. Anything like that will be absolutely fine. If you want to see anything in particular from the upcoming series, then be sure to get in touch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.